Good evening, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good night, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news this late Saturday night. In the New York governor's race is way tight, where New York may actually see their first Republican governor in decades there in the state of New York, as New Yorkers are waking up to the fact that they can no longer validate voting for somebody that would lock them down, take away their rights, and continue to mask their kids and forced vaccinations. That's what Kathy Henkel is all about, and CNN actually did a fact check on Kathy Hochul. While she was on the CNN show, with Don Lemon on a very unexpected, but a very good thing. It doesn't look like CNN is finally starting to turn a corner where they're actually starting to fact check some of their guests that are coming in, especially from the Democrat side, because they've always never have pushed back on Democrats. And now we're starting to see pushback happen. Even from people like Don Lemon. I guess they might have gotten the memo from the new owner saying that we need to be more fair and balanced in the way we approach things. Again, I'm not saying see, then it's going to be a fantastic news source. But it's good to see some actual pushback on Democrat candidates for the 13 people that are watching CNN. So as Democrats prepare for a red tsunami, and 5 days as Republicans are now encroaching into blue territories that once thought was safe for Democrats. They are now battling. They have pulled funding from places like Ohio and Florida. In order to try to prop up Democrats in blue states, people like Kathy Henkel, who is now fighting to be the governor of New York and having to fight against a very good candidate in the Republican side, leaves ill dawn as he continues to run on the message of freedom versus tyranny that Kathy Hochul is all about and the crime that is ravaging places like New York and New York City. They can't sit there and they can't spin it. And they do their best saying, oh, it's a Republican problem. And Democrats are excusing me. Well, they are. CNN says. Well, hold on a second. That's not true. This is a problem in your state. It's a real problem. So let's take a look here at the video coming to us from CNN over here. Let's take a listen to this exchange. Everyone listen to this. What we have done is taken 8,000 illegal guns off the streets. We made sure that no 18-year-old can get their hands on an AR-15. We've made sure that our red flag laws are tough and there's background checks, whereas Lee Zeldin has opposed every part of that, even voting against the first significant gun safety legislation in 3 decades in Washington. He didn't even show up to help support our police officers, was funding for them in Washington. So they can say all they want, but there's the facts are on the other side. We've done a lot to get guns up in the state. Violence in the subway game with violent crime is up 7.8% in the state. I mean, it is down a point from 2020 and 21. But it is up 7.8%. That is concerning. And especially if you look in New York City and we look at the news and we see this, randomly what is happening in our subways and on our streets. People are really nervous about it. I know you think they're being disingenuous about it, but that is a real factor. Governor, you can't deny it. Okay, folks, just kind of scroll here and just show her to you guys. She were if you guys remember earlier this year, she wore that Vax necklace, faxed, right, faxed. She was so proud of that she doesn't wear it anymore. And she just looks terrible. I think the Republican candidate for governor in New York has a real shot of winning in New York come election, so it's not over, guys. Make sure you head to the polls on Tuesday. Vote. Vote with your friends, take your family and vote for Lee Zeldin. Get him over the hump. It's not over. These Democrats need a reckoning which they have not seen in a very long time. They need a resounding whooping on Tuesday, because that's what they deserve. They need the American people to say, we reject your policies. We reject the way you're heading, moving this nation. And we want balance. We need restored balance, and we need these policies to be stopped. And we need to start focusing on America needs to start focusing on its communities and states rather than continuing to send billions of dollars to Ukraine and other places. That is not America first. That is America last. That's what the Democrat Party represents. And this is some big news. CNN is gonna have to implement a change. Like most things, you can't go halfway. You got to just rip the band-aid off. You got to move forward and not take half measures. CNN under the new leadership group is focusing on changing its image. We want to get back to real news. We want to restore credibility back to the way things were. CNN, the most trusted name in news. Well, if you really want to do that, if that's really the goal, like I just stated, you can't take half measures. You got to be willing to go all the way. But of course, CNN isn't doing that under the new leadership group. They've made some decent changes, and sure, the network has improved a little bit marginally, but CIA Anderson Cooper still there. Jim Acosta of all people is there. Jake Tapper still has a show. I mean, the list goes on and on. And even with CNN's effort to get rid of Don Lemond once again, they didn't go all the way. Instead of completely axing him, they moved him to the morning, thinking this is a salvageable situation. Well, simply it's not. Don them on is not a salvageable asset. On them on is the brick attached to your ankle that's bringing you down to the bottom of the ocean. And we know this because with CNN's effort to salvage the situation with Don Lemond with little Mr. Lemonhead, well, it's failed spectacularly even after spending millions of dollars in advertising and promotion. Alright, folks. So take a look. The headline right over here: Donald Lemon's new show CNN This Morning bombs in debut. It's all ending in a fiery crash. CNN's flashy new morning show co-hosted by Don Lemon, Poppy Harlow and Caitlin Collins bombed in its debut episode on Tuesday. Despite heavy promotion from the network, CNN This Morning's first show drew a mere 387,000 viewers and averaged 71,000 viewers in the advertisers' coveted 25 to 54 age demographic, according to Nielsen ratings. By comparison, Morning Joe amassed 793,000 viewers head-to-head from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, while Fox News's Fox and Friends came out on top, averaging 1.5 million. No. Shows across CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News ranked lower than Lemon's program on Tuesday. Dubbed CNN This Morning, the broadcast was pitched as the left-leaning network's re-entry into the competitive morning show landscape, and was heralded by Lemon as a promotion amid reports that he was being demoted. The anchor has been moved from his now cancelled 10 p.m. primetime show to share the spotlight with two other hosts. Well, this is apparently Don Lemon's promotion to the bottom of the ratings, not even scratching 30% of the viewers that Fox and Friends is getting, and sharing the spotlight with Poppy Harlow and Caitlin Collins. Now I don't know what the situation here is, but what I'm assuming is people like Don them on, and a couple others, have some pretty favorable contracts with huge multiple million-dollar settlement deals where if the network chooses to fire them, they probably have to pay him like $15–20 million. Who knows what the real number is? And that's probably the biggest struggle, getting rid of these faces. Of course, the internet's been keeping track. There's still a couple individuals to go, as you guys can see right over here, and maybe it's just difficult to get rid of them. But the question CNN has to answer, or the question CNN has to ask itself, is it really worth it? Should you pay now or pay later? What's better, not firing Don them on because you don't want to pay him in the short term, whatever the settlement ends up being, or keeping him on and running the most disastrous morning show of any network? It's not going to get better. Nobody wants to wake up to Don Lemon. You know, CNN has a problem: likability and talent. Just look at the graphic ahead of you. Who are these people? Where's the energy? Where's the charisma? The humor? The good takes the intelligence. 404 error not found. It doesn't exist. There's no talent at this network. Yet. We live in this world, and especially the world of media, that is full of talent. There's talented people who are struggling to make ends meet, who would love to work or love to have a shot at working on any network making a fraction of what these dopes are being paid. I mean, for Pete's sakes, how can you justify paying any of these clowns millions of dollars a year? But that's currently what's happening. Don Lemon was on a multi-million-dollar contract on Lemon, and you know what he probably still is. The question is, how much more is CNN going to endure? How much more is CNN going to keep pretending as if this is perfectly normal, paying untalented leftists hacks who can draw in an audience millions of dollars? It's unjustifiable. It's honestly all we see across the media. Comedy Central kept Trevor Noah longboard for I don't know what it was, 5, 8 years or something like that. Trevor Noah taking over the famed Daily Show, which was supposed to be a comedy show on Comedy Central. Except there's only one problem. Trevor Noah isn't funny. It's not a ratings problem. It's not a viewer problem. It's a talent problem. People are sick of these unfunny hacks. James Corden is another one who finally people are realizing is a Hollywood goblin. Troops people absolutely terribly. James Corden now says he's leaving the Late Late Show. It's going to be beyond emotional. No, it's not just go away. You're not funny. If you were funny, You wouldn't have to steal jokes. James Corden was accused of stealing no feelings Munger joke. In 2017, James Corden reacts after being called out for nearly identical Ricky Gervais. Joe, start hiring real talent. These media outlets have become lazy and stagnant. It's nothing but networking and nepotism instead of a meritocracy. This is why independent media is winning, because you can't survive in the online world without bringing something, whether it's credibility, relatability, comedy, charisma. You need something to succeed, otherwise it's not going to work. CNN, however, all you really need is to work up the corporate ladder, kiss the right shoes, and you walk into a multi-million-dollar contract. But clearly that's no longer sustainable. None of it is sustainable. And that's why it's all falling apart, the entire woke media apparatus. Half of the folks at CNN are gone. Trevor Noah is gone. James Corden gone. Elon Generous gone. The list goes on and on and on and on. Yet most of the YouTubers that you follow and probably have been following for a long time are still around. Many of them are more popular than they were 10 years ago, and their audiences keep on growing. And that's without hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising and promotion. And the left just doesn't get it. They don't get that they have a talent problem. They don't get that they don't come off as ingenuine. Actually, this makes me think of a hilarious New York Times article that came out 2 days ago or 3 days ago in the political talk show Race Outrageous, winning an opinion piece by Tracy McMillan. Liberals appear to dominate the late-night TV show genre. The New York Times already lost me considering Greg Gutfeld as dominating the ratings when it comes to late-night comedy, not to mention this guy. The reason for that dominance is complex audiences have different orientations towards humor and political talk. Those orientations have some underlying psychological needs, and the styles of comedy have political and cultural histories. Bluntly, scholars who study political communication and humor often find that liberals are ironic, smart alecks, and conservatives are outraged moralists. Some of us are a bit of both, but most of us have psychological need to be one over the other. Well, you heard that, folks. Liberals are born with the comedy gene, the comedy bone, and you conservatives are just outraged moralists. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Seems like coppa to me, and considering where comedy, and especially left-wing comedy, is currently, considering who dominates the meme war, and which side literally can't meme, which side can handle a simple joke, I'm gonna call fake news cope. In fact, check false on that one all simultaneously, but essentially you get the point. They just don't get it. Conservatives are outraged moralists, says the side that's constantly policing comedy, policing speech, and outraged over the dumbest things and little microaggressions, whatever the hell that means. Keep coping, left boys. This is why the woke media industrial complex is failing before our very eyes. Pretty soon the only thing you're gonna have left is ABC is The View, because of course we know drunk housewives are probably the last demographic that you're gonna hold on to. Best news of the day: Don Lemon's morning show has failed, and his days at CNN are most likely numbered. Thanks for being here, folks. Big hug. Ciao. Goodbye.